York Transit Museum. I'm always curious, who has been here before? Raise it. Oh, nice. And we have some new folks too. Welcome to everyone. My name is Amy Boyle. I'm the Director of Education and Public Programs. Just a few quick announcements before we sort of launch into it. It's really cool that we are a museum and a subway station. It doesn't always make for the best acoustics. So if you are having any challenges hearing tonight, I strongly recommend seeing my friend Billy in the back. We have wonderful assisted listening devices and they are extremely helpful. So please don't be shy. Go see Billy if you need any help with that. Also just, we're a full sold out program tonight, so if you can just make sure you move in towards the middle. The seats are for people, not for your bags, so just be aware we'll probably have a few more people coming in as the program gets started. So tonight we have a wonderful program about New Yorker cartoons and transit. I want to start off by thanking Amy Raffel, our wonderful manager of public programs in the back, who put together this evening's program, A Century of New Yorkers Transportation Cartoons. Lighthearted program tonight, but we're of course hosting it on a day that is a solemn day for New Yorkers and for the world, September 11th. And on the anniversary of the attacks, we really reflect on what it means to be a New Yorker, especially what unites and defines us as members of this community. And mass transit is certainly something that unites New Yorkers, literally and figuratively. It's one of the best and noblest parts of our city, and on some days, of course, one of the most frustrating parts as well. But the shared experiences of the subway and your sort of development and honing of your unique subway story really makes somebody a true New Yorker. So we're so happy that you're all with us tonight to celebrate this incredible exhibition and to get a chance to laugh a little bit and some of the challenges we face with our wonderful transportation system. So the program tonight is based on an exhibition of transportation themed New Yorker cartoons we have on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the New Yorker magazine. It showcases work from 57 artists. It's called Commentary on the Commute, A Century of the New Yorker's Transportation Cartoons. It's not here. It is at Grand Central Station. Sorry to say, we wish we could have brought the spaces together, but it's a good excuse to go to Grand Central. If you haven't seen the exhibition yet, it's at our Grand Central Gallery Annex space. It is incredible. I strongly encourage you to see it. It closes October 26th. So you've got a couple more weeks. Mark it on your to-do list if you have not yet gone. Weekday hours at Grand Central are from 10 to 7:30. And Saturdays and Sundays it's open from 10 to 6. It's free, which is great. Before we get started, I want to let you know about a few upcoming programs that we have at the museum and outside. In the weekend after next, coming up very soon, September 21st, we have our annual bus festival, where you can come see our amazing vintage buses. You found a postcard on your seat that gives you all information. It's a free event in Brooklyn Bridge Park. Highly recommend it. We also have a workshop in this space on October 24th with artists from the Strap Hangers Lounge, and you can create your own needlepoint subway sign. To stay up to date on all of our programs, we have so many offerings for all ages. Please subscribe to our newsletter, and please come back to the museum and visit us during our normal hours, Wednesday through Sunday, 10 to 4. So now I'm excited to introduce our fabulous panelists tonight. And first, I have Jodi Shapiro. She is the curator of Commentary on the Commute. Jodi started working at the New York Transit Museum Archive in May of 2014. She became the associate curator in 2016 and was named curator in 2021. She's curated shows about transit history of the Bronx, New York's transit system as portrayed in comics, and another exhibition on view at the front of the museum, The Subway Is. Before she joined the Transit Museum, Jodi had many wonderful jobs, including being an archivist for several artist estates and many world-renowned photographers. She holds a master's in library science with a concentration in archival processing and description. Our next panelist is Ellis Rosen. Ellis is a cartoonist, writer, and illustrator living in Brooklyn. His cartoons have appeared in The New Yorker, The New York Times, and The Washington Post. And our final panelist tonight is Roz Chast, a cartoonist and author best known for her long-running contributions to The New Yorker, where her cartoons have appeared since 1978. Born in Brooklyn, New York, studied at the Rhode Island School of Design. Her work typically explores themes of domestic life, anxiety, aging, and the absurdities of everyday experience. The subway would be one of them. Rendered in colorful, idiosyncratic style. Chast is also the author of several books, including the critically acclaimed graphic memoir, Can't We Talk About Something More Pleasant, which recounts her experiences caring for her aging parents. Her most recent book is I Must Be Dreaming, published in 2023. Thanks so much, and I'll turn it over to you.
Hello. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the exhibit, since none of you were able to see it here tonight because it's in another place. Why is this not working?
Another one.
Oh, okay, that's the forward, that's right. Technology. So Commentary on the Commute is an exhibit about 100 years of New Yorker cartoons. What you may or may not know is that the New Yorker and our transit system kind of grew up together, not just because they're 100 and the subway system is 121 years old, but mass transportation in New York and the newspaper industry were kind of intertwined. And the newspapers ran a lot of comics because that sold papers, and most of the comics that were in these papers were about transportation. The New Yorker, when they started in 1925, they were a humor magazine, and they followed the lead of these newspapers by wanting to have humorous illustrations in their pages. I'm not going to read the text on the slides because you guys are adults and you can read, but this is one of my favorites from the exhibit. It's Tom Chaney, New York the Ride, and that's basically what anyone might call the subway, because that's what it is. Here's Eustace Tilley. He is the mascot of the New Yorker. He appears on he has appeared on almost every anniversary issue. There was like one, I think, where he wasn't there. Have either of you gotten to draw Eustace yet? You have, I know, but Ellis, well, that's your turn next, I guess. I particularly love this one. I wanted to have this in the show very, very large because Eustace is a dandy, and here he is doing something very undandy-like. So this cartoon was in the very first issue of The New Yorker, and it is awesome. And I love it not just because he is being a good citizen and cleaning the windows of a low V, but the Subway Sun is also in this cartoon, of which there's an exhibit of Subway Sun posters in the gallery over there, a little cross-pollinization and promotion. One of the great things about The New Yorker, not just the cartoons, the covers have also featured transit throughout the years. I loved everything. Curating the show, going through all the material, was really difficult to pick things. I'm going to just page through kind of fast. These are sort of just ones that I wanted to show you guys as a taster of what you might find. All modes of transportation are represented, so here is our trolley. There was only one trolley cartoon that I thought was funny enough to put in the exhibit. It's the trolley problem. Most people don't remember that New York had double-decker buses, so here is a cover that shows one of them, and I think I put the other one in there too. Yes, I did. So again, you know, just as a vehicle for people to be exposed to art, The New Yorker is fantastic because there's so many different types of artists that have done visual work for them, whether it's covers or cartoons. The writing is really sharp in the cartoons also, which hopefully you guys will talk about that a little bit later. Can you guys see the caption? If you can't see the caption, I can read it to you. Okay, it says, Metro North is proud to announce this morning's trains are running on or close to schedule. The 802, however, is not among them. And It's important to note that this is from 1985, so that's only 2 years after MTA took over Metro North from Conrail, so they're getting better. This is the transitional point. This was a piece that I was really bent on getting into our exhibit. It's Saul Steinberg, who, if you are not familiar with his work, boy, do you have a wonderful journey ahead of you. Look him up. And one of the things I really love about this particular piece is that even though it's very abstract, you look at it and you know exactly what it depicts. And that's kind of the beauty of Steinberg in general, where he's very minimalist and very evocative. I'm trying to sound smart as I go through these, but I just want to show you some cool cartoons. Give you a minute to let it land. Is everybody ready? Next one. And that's exactly the reaction that I was looking for when I was putting this show together, is I wanted to find material that you did not need to really, you didn't need to really understand like what was going, you just looked at it and you'd have a reaction to it. It was something that resonated with you. Edward Corrin is one of my favorite artists ever, and I was really happy to be able to include this. These are critters that you would find in the subway. And there's a whole section about critters in the exhibit. I just saw these guys this morning. And there's a section in the exhibit about two of the most long-term people contributing to the New Yorker. One is sitting over there, and one is Peter Arno. Peter Arno is also one of these incredible artists. He had a very interesting life. I think that's a good way to put it. And one of the things that changed about his art was that he lived in the city and then he moved to the suburbs, and as soon as he moved to the suburbs, his cartoons, especially for the New Yorker, started changing to suburban things, and he started, this is a subway picture, but he started doing commuter rail, and people, still golfers, lots of golfers. And that's the last thing I had to say, so I'm going to pass this to Roz, but hopefully that's a good teaser for you. It's the bottom button that's going to make it advance. That one is going to make it advance.
All right. I wanted to start with this slide because this is I think it's probably my first subway ride, and I'm with my mother. I don't know. She used to bundle me a lot. I think she was like, I might be wearing like 3 or 4 sweaters under the coat. It looks like my head is about to pop off or something. And you can sort of see, I'll read some of these things. The station of my childhood, I grew up in Brooklyn. The station of my childhood was Newkirk Plaza on what was originally the BMT line. It was the QB, the QJ, and the D train. And these were the signs, was buy tokens in your leisure, like not somebody else's, like yours. Insert a dime and a nickel, and it was 15 cents when I was a kid. So anyway, I wanted to start with that one. Have ridden the subway for my whole life, I guess. I'm going to show a couple of just New York cartoons. This is Pigeon Little. The sky is falling, the sky is, oh look, part of the bagel. And Urban Trail Mix, Tic Tacs, Zoloft, Tylenol, Xanax, No-Dose, Valium, Tums, and almonds. For protein, I do have to add here, this is, it's 9/11, which means one thing to a lot of people, but it also is my aunt's birthday. My aunt is 106. And I just saw her yesterday. She would say, don't applaud, I don't know why I'm still here. But she said, people always ask me, what's the secret of longevity? And I always tell them I eat 8 almonds a day, but she does not. She just likes to sort of this is a very early cartoon. This is a mailbox. It says the trains, 1,022,796 West 79th Street. And I like this cartoon because it was one of the early cartoons I sold to the New Yorker. And the way it works at the New Yorker is all of the artists, we submit a batch of cartoons every week. We submit whatever it is, 3 or 6 or 10. And then you go in the next week, or when we used to go in person, and Lee Lorenz, who was my first cartoon editor, he pull out a cartoon, the sketch, and we called them the roughs. You pull out a rough and you'd say, we're buying this one, and then you take it home and you do the finish. But he pulled out the rough, and I had like the little flag on the side of the mailbox. It was like sticking out perpendicularly from the box. And he said, what is that? And I said, just as confident as could be, I said, that's the handle. That's how you open up the mailbox. Because I had never had a mailbox. And it was before the internet. I had no idea what they looked like, or how they operated. And he redrew the mailbox, and he explained the mechanics of the suburban mailbox to me. And like, I don't want to brag, but like, I have one now, and like, and I'm like good at it. It's like every time I flip that flag up, I think, look at me go. And I'm going to show some subway cartoons. This is yeah, you know how that goes. This is the rats, hey, who was back in town? Get your butt down here. What are you waiting for? A great invitation? This is Sisyphus the commuter. It just like kills me when people bring like giant things onto the subway. It's like, you go. You be you. Bring in that like motorbike, whatever. This is a cover I did. This was before the Second Avenue line was completed, and I remember reading that actually they started building it, I think, in the 20s.
That is correct.
So it was like, well, why is it taking so long? And obviously, it's because first it has to go from the financial district to Brighton Beach, and then it goes to the Yukon, and it goes to Nebraska, it goes to the center of Earth, it goes to Saturn and Tenafly, and Papua New Guinea and Las Vegas, and then it goes back to 86th Street and 125th, and then
I have to ask, why Tenafly?
Why not Tenafly? It's a funny name, I don't know. This is a subway. I occasionally meet somebody who doesn't believe that Manhattan is an island. And it's like, what? This is, yeah. This is a cartoon cover from 1990, and it's basically a cross-section of everything underneath the street. There's the subway line is sorted to the bottom. And you must know, like, there are certain stations where it's like, how deep is this going? I think there's like one at 53rd Street where it's just unbelievable. So yeah, we have things. We have the checkbooks. We have stock shares things, tickets to the opera that you lost, where they are, letters, pipes, stuff like that. This is Subway Thrillers. The Mystery of the Disappearing Bee, The Secret of the Queue, and The Strange Pause of the End. And they just stop. And this is, it might seem like I'm putting the subway down, but I actually really, this is what holds the subway together. So we have packing tape, bakery twine. I was thinking probably because of my age of I don't know if Native New Yorkers remember, like when the bakeries would have that the white with a little bit of red. It was this very thin twine, and it came down from, and then the Gottliebs or whatever, the Ebbingers would wrap up the box. So, bakery twine. Gum, of course, and enchantment. I actually love the subway very, very much. I think part of the reason for this is that I didn't learn to drive till I was 38. I really, we had 2 kids, moved out of New York, and I had to learn, and I just hate it. I hate everything about it. I won't list all of the things I particularly hate, but I have all weird phobias of the driving, the steering wheel coming off, and I put wheels coming off, the trucks, the other driver, it seems like I am listing them now. I don't like bad weather, I don't like night, I don't like lanes, I don't like switching lanes, none of it, I don't like the phrase blind spot. There's nothing about cars. I've put gas in my car by myself, like a big girl, under 10 times. I either make somebody do it for me or my husband does it because, yes, gas, it's explosive. I don't like it. So, yeah, I love the subway because it runs 24 hours and I can get anywhere. And when I'm in the city, I feel like I'm a regular grown-up. I feel like I can go anywhere. I'm not dependent on people and, you know. Anyway, this is the Illuminati of the subway. Has never waited for more than 15 seconds for a train, owns one of those bottomless metro cards, and the L may not run for you, but it will run for you. This is She Persisted. Drawn from life. Metro card error messages. Remember those? Can you read that back there, or should I read it? You can read it? And this is The Legend of the Sea. I will read this one because it's little. You may one day hear tell of a train called the Sea. Few have seen her with their own eyes. Fewer still have ridden her. It is said that when the moon is full and Jupiter aligns with Saturn, and the calla lily is in bloom, the sea will appear. Some say she looks like an ordinary subway car. Others say she looks like a gondola, or even a hot air balloon. One thing is for certain, she will not be rushed. So that's the sea.
Roz, I heard something about this particular cartoon that you got some feedback from the MTA as a result.
Yes, that the sea was evidently not the worst of all the trains. I think that the sea actually had a pretty good record. Well, why don't they just come to my subway stop and we'll see about that. This is real estate. Personal is another New York one. Original fixtures, curb appeal, meticulously maintained, motivated seller, and close to 10 subway lines. This is a book that I wrote about New York and my love for New York. The first time I took my daughter into the city, she was about 9, and she pointed to the fire escapes and said, "Mom, what are those West Side Story things?" And it was so great because I had no idea how she knew that we didn't have a West Side Story album, but somehow it's so much a part of the culture. So, and this is opinions. And this was from my dream book. I'm on the subway and my phone rings. This was an actual dream that I had, but a lucid dream. Hello? It's my husband. You sound weird. Why do you sound weird? Of course I sound weird. I'm dreaming. This isn't really a cartoon. I like to draw into photos sometimes, and I like birds. So, the subway comes up a lot in my work. This is the centipede eggs and bird people on the subway, I guess. These are all, they're not painted, they're dyed, they're kind of like batik. You draw with melted wax and then you dip the egg into vats of dye. You start with the lightest color and you work your way up to the darker colors. This is another New York thing. I love standpipes. They seem very anthropomorphic to me. The one on the left, or I guess your left, that's Trixie. For obvious reasons. She's very saucy. This guy is just an idiot. He's like, nobody can see me. And these old couple and they're fighting. And she's like, I'm not talking to you. And he's like, what's wrong? What did I do? You know what you did. And this is another, I mean, what is this? I don't even understand how this works, you know? But yeah, I guess they're just a little family. Oh, that makes me so happy to hear that. Yeah, because I think this is like clearly the god of all family. And, you know, you see this and then everybody should just bow down. Oh, and there you go.
Hello. Hilarious. Thank you. Yep. Okay, I see. Good call. Thank you.
Too tall, Ellis.
Okay, yeah. Okay, hi. Hello. Chair, yeah. No more chair. I do not have a photograph of my first subway ride, Mom, but here I am anyway. This is just my face. I was born and raised in New York, still New York, never gonna leave, you know, don't have a driver's license, the whole thing. I started contributing New Yorker's cartoons, I think my first one's in 2015, and, it's funnier actually. This is the first cartoon I sold to them, and it is a subway cartoon. It says, next stop says, first stop, that party went well. Second stop, but what about that stupid thing you said? 3, no one heard it. 4, they heard it and they're judging you. And then what an awful party. 6 stops in. And this is true. I do this. I will do it tonight on my way back from here. So this came out. I had a friend who was telling me that she takes the subway and she counts how many stops she has, and you can figure out how much she can read in her book. And I said, I do not read on the subway, but I do fret and I do worry a lot. So I'm gonna. So that's how I came up with this cartoon. There you go. And then, so actually, subway cartoons. I think out of all the types of cartoons that I've drawn, tropes, whatever you want to call them, subways, I think I've sold the most. I've done a lot of them for the New Yorker. Here's the second one I ever did. Take heed, for your journey is filled with long delays and unexpected service changes. And this combines two things that I love: the subway, and then also I love this guy in the beginning of every hero's journey. Your journey awaits. Come. And so that was fun. And another fun thing. This was fact checked. The tiles for Canal Street, I just winged it. I was just, I don't like, who cares what the tiles look like? And I was told, no, the tiles absolutely are wrong. That's not what the Canal Street tiles look like. You need to redraw it and make the, yeah, they're serious about that. That's the only fact check I've ever gotten. So now all my other subway cartoons, I make sure I get a reference. So that's the, yeah. Here we go. So 3, okay, this is planned service changes. 2, the 2 trainers going back to school to pursue a career in massage therapy. The F train has accepted a position in another subway system. We wish them well in future endeavors. And the L train is taking 3 years to find itself. I did get a note on this one too. This was, I was told that this itself is not enough of a picture and I need to add a little background. So that's why it's got a little, yeah. I don't know, that's a little thing you know now. You know. All right, here's another one. This is, you ain't getting off this train till you ain't getting on this train till I get off first. This is a showdown, and this is an etiquette rule that comes very seriously. My father, he's here, you can talk to him about it. He is like, he instilled this lesson in me, and I will, share it with my children, and so on and so on. It's a very important rule. We take it very seriously. So it was nice to get to draw a cartoon about it. Okay, so here's on Chambers Street. 7/13/2017, journal entry 6, morale is low. It's been 3 days and I'm beginning to doubt the rumors of uptown service. fun fact with this one, this was Seth Meyers. He would have, occasionally he would do these like live New Yorker cartoons, yeah, and this was one of them. So there was like a guy, and he wore this little trapper outfit, and he said that, and it was fun. Yeah, so I grew up off Canal, the Canal stop, and maybe Spring and Chambers. Those are like the three closest stops, I think. So those were always like the main ones. And in my head, growing up next to the A, I feel like the A train was always just like the main character of trains. It was like the leader of the trains. And I've only realized like maybe last week that that's not true for everybody. But still, to me, you'll see the A train a lot because that was always like that kid. So here we go. We got so this was the caption contest. I've had a couple in the caption contest. So this is what happens in the caption contest. You submit it with your caption, and then they write back and they say, "Ha, it's a terrible caption. We're gonna give this to you think you can. What are you thinking? We're gonna give this to everybody to make their own captions." So that's how you get in the caption contest. They like the picture, they don't love the thing, but I'm sharing both of mine anyway, and you can tell me which you like better. Mine. And they're usually friendly, but stand clear of their closing doors. You'll see another theme that happens a lot is that I have a lot of cartoons where the trains are out in the wild. They're like in the forest, and they just look like animals to me, I think. They just look like big, huge sort of creatures, and so that's why I think I have like a lot. You'll see, this is the first one, but so this is the one that win. Of course, we wait forever, and then two come to say, That's a good one.
I have endless problems with this caption.
See, you get it, right?
Not
Yeah, the first one wasn't mine. That's my first problem with it, yeah.
But it doesn't make sense because it's a 2 and an A, so one would never follow the other.
That's true, right. No. It is, it's actually good. Anyway, it was fun to draw. So here we go, here's my caption for this one. Best I can do is cause a delay. It's a cute little mice. This one's looking at its phone. It's got a little, so yeah, that was fun. And then, actually this happens a lot where the caption is actually very similar to the one that you submit, the winning contest. So to be honest, all I can do is make a few hundred of them late for work. Similar. So it's like, boo, boo. Get it now. I'm kidding, the caption contest is great, you're all wonderful, funny people. So I've done a few daily shouts, it's like written, funny pieces, hopefully funny pieces. So this was like right after quarantine when people were starting to get back into the subway again. So I wrote this subway reorientation, a helpful guide. I'm not going to share all because it's a lot, but I have a few panels, and this is actually drawn, my friend David Ostow, terrific illustrator, very funny guy, he drew a couple pictures, so I'm just going to read a few of these. So, welcome back to the subway, it's been a while, but I'm scared, you say. What if I get eaten by a train? You see, that's a real fear. In reality, you have a greater chance of being struck by lightning than being eaten by a train. So rest easy. I'm sure you have lots of questions though. Lucky for you, this handy guide will help you to remember how to be a subway pro. Okay. What should I do about a delay? Nothing. You're simply going to have to wait a little longer for your turn to arrive. Beware of strangers when they try to find alternative routes. For these people, subway riding is a game. They don't care about you or where you're headed. They're in it for the rush of excitement as they play out each scenario in their underground labyrinth amusement park. They are cursed souls. You see my friend, he's put all the conspiracy, he's got Dewey defeats Truman in there, which is very funny. What's that small creature eating trash? That's a rat, sometimes called rail puppies or garbage furs. These precious critters roam the subway, cleaning up messes that humans leave behind. They're similar to the ones in your apartment, but they're even bigger and cuter. Although they are adorable, it's important not to get too attached to one. They have very short lifespans. That's why we have the old adage, never name a subway rat. Can I please keep a garbage fur? No, as much as we all wish we could have one of those chubby little munchkins, subway rats belong in the subway and won't last long in the outside world. There's nothing more profoundly heartbreaking than a dead rat. Well, that's everything you need to know when riding the subway. If necessary, print out this guide and take it with you. You may need to refer to it while riding the subway on your first few times. Please join us for next week for hugs. What are they and who gets them? So the piece is longer. You can check it out if you want, but that's a little thing we did. So now I'm doing some unpublished ones. These are some cartoons that didn't make it. For our New York experts here, I drew in Dr. Zizmore. Thank you, Dr. Zizmore, really, you know? Yeah, him and Dan Smith are like my two celebrities. So this is a pirate, you get it. Okay, so this is like, there's a movie Lost Weekend, and like, the guy's like walking, he's all like sad and drunk, and it's like, you know, it's all these signs of bars, I think, because it's about alcoholism. Anyway, this is, to me, I changed it to subway trains, and I don't think there's like a saxophone thing going on in that scene, but for whatever reason in my head, I thought there was, so I made a little guy, but I messed up the drawing, and so now it doesn't really, the perspective's not right, so it really just looks like a tiny little saxophone player that just, so you just have this tiny little guy playing saxophone there. It's called The Subway, and it's where a rat can be a rat. Okay, so here's another one where it's a train coming out of the G. I had to wait for the G like once for a while, and I've never forgiven it. So I have a lot of cartoons picking on the G. This one's just coming out. Again, coming in the words here. Yeah, here's the other one. See, this isn't even a joke. This is just me being angry. Look at this. With you, waiting for the G train feels like waiting for a functional subway line with reasonable wait times. Just working it out on that one and not like, yeah. Okay, so here's a couple of trains. Here's the third one where they're in the woods again. They're around the campfire, they're telling scary stories, but he couldn't shake that feeling that there was another train directly behind him. So that, and then, oh, okay, here we go. Remember, here's the A train again. Remember, if we get split up, take the A to 42nd, transfer to Brooklyn down 2, get off the Eastern Parkway, buy a ticket for the Brooklyn Museum, and make sure that you tell them you're under 3. And this is like, you know, when you're a kid and your parents like take it, if we get split up, you know, you get off the next station, you wait there, you know, and so this is just, a play on that. Okay, so you're going to want to run for your life to Fulton, take a right, keep screaming until you're in Nassau, the subway will be on your right. Just like that guy's high. And I think that's the last one, yeah. There you go, yeah.
So now comes the fun part, where I get to grill you guys about process and all of that stuff. Ellis showed us the first cartoon that he had published by the New Yorker, but which was yours, Roz?
The very first cartoon I had published by the New Yorker was a cartoon called Little Things, and I really never thought I was going to be a cartoonist for the New Yorker. I thought I would be a cartoonist if I were lucky for the Village Voice, because my stuff really, my parents subscribed to the New Yorker. I knew they used cartoons, obviously, but I didn't see how my stuff fit in there at all. And this was 1978. But I submitted just because, why not? And they bought that one, which was the sort of oddest and but basically what it was this, it just said little things in the middle, and then there were these little tiny shapes that, like, just nonsense shapes that I made up like a name for what they were, like chint and hackhead, and like, the kind of thing that I would do to make myself laugh, but like I didn't think anybody else would really understand, but that was the one that they bought, and evidently when they ran it, a lot of people were very upset, and including a lot of the older cartoonists who really thought, like, the barbarians are not at the gates, they are through the gates, and one of them was so mad, this is too long, I know, I'm sorry, and one of them asked Lee Lorenz whether he owed my family money. anyway.
That's pretty harsh.
Yeah, they were pissed, but
It's
whatever.
maybe even worse than the comment you got about the flag on your mailbox.
Yeah, oh, yeah. No, that,
So Ellis talked a little bit about getting fact-checked, and that was one thing that I learned while I was putting this exhibit together, was that I know that the articles in the New Yorker get fact-checked. I didn't know that the cartoons did. And so when I was talking to the cartoon editors, they pointed out some examples that are not in the show that were incorrect. So Ellis said you've only gotten corrected twice, maybe 3 times?
Just that one, yeah.
Just that one?
And then, yeah, I've gotten like edits, but that's the only like real like, oh no, you did that wrong.
So what is that process like? Do they look at your roughs and then just be like, hey, the tiles in the subway is wrong? Or are you at the finished part where they tell you that you either got something wrong or that they want you to change something?
So 2 men in suits showed up at my door. No, it's just an email, and I think there's like, hey, this is wrong. I don't think they sent me like a reference or anything. I think they,
They just tell you it's wrong, change it?
yeah.
And because you've been working with them for so long, Roz, do you have more of a rapport where you have like a shorthand with them, where they say
No.
squiggles or
No,
it's the same
it's the same.
every time?
Yeah, they just tell you, fix this, fix that, this is wrong, but mostly, I think because my stuff sometimes has a lot of writing in it, there's a lot of, there's spelling, there's punctuation, but it's always done before you go to finish.
Do you either of you ever have to fight, like something that you really love you gotta love it, and they either don't want it because it doesn't fit with whatever, or...
I think once or twice I've argued, maybe, not really very often, because usually it's just, I'm not going to argue for like a wrong spelling or something. But yeah, not really often, but occasionally, if I really think this ruins the joke, I'll, fight for it.
No, I am a meek and unconfrontational person, and
Same.
easily sell out any aspect.
Yeah.
No school.
Yeah, we always, it's such a rickety, I'm quoting Linda Barry, she said cartooning is a very rickety profession, and sometimes I feel like I'm a very rickety person in a rickety profession, so I don't want to, fall off and hit the third rail.
As someone who's neurotic, I appreciate that the two of you are neurotic in an artistic way, and anxious. It makes me feel better about my own anxieties. But do you think that the anxiety part of your personalities makes you a better cartoonist? Or a funnier cartoonist?
Sorry,
Sorry, I want to let down on the couch or that.
I was like looking at you.
I've never been a different way, so I have no idea. For all I know, if I were not crazy, then I don't know, maybe I'd be president by now.
I don't think that is a majority either. I mean, I think some of the best comedians are very neurotic. I think some of the best humorists are neurotic. I think maybe that's just baked in, that it just helps you be funnier because you're scared of so many things. I don't know. Maybe that's a therapist question.
We're all the sum of our own parts, and I don't know, somebody Roz told me.
Here's an easier part to that question. Does being a New Yorker who also has anxiety, is that the secret sauce? Because I mean, all three of us are native Americans.
No, because I know cartoonists, very funny cartoonists who are not like that at all.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
me too.
still, it can't be.
Yeah.
All right, here goes my hypothesis.
Yeah,
California cartoonists.
They're all,
Yeah.
ooh, yeah, they're cool,
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll make fun of me for when I go on my crazy little rants. So I don't think you need it to be funny. No.
But it helps.
Sure. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Before we started the program, you guys were talking about your process, so I would like to ask you guys about your process of actually making the drawings, so to share that with our audience. You were talking about, both of you started doing it on ink and paper, right? Or have you always been digital, Ellis?
For New York cartoons, I've always been digital, yeah.
And you transitioned from writing to...
When I draw for the New Yorker, I draw on paper, partly because I sell original drawings, but for other things I draw digitally. I like both. They both have pluses and minuses. I mean, the problem with the digital is that you don't have an original. But I mean, and there are other problems also. I mean, it's almost sometimes I think of like drawing on paper is kind of like doing acting on stage, because you kind of, if you make a mistake, that's kind of how it is, and then you have to either deal with that mistake. But with the digital, it's like making a movie. You can just like shoot it again and again and again. You can constantly make these little tiny changes. So you never really have to, you never get your heart like crushed because you've just like ruined a drawing that spent 4 or 6 or 8 hours on, which is actually a plus in many ways, but also, I don't know, maybe sometimes, no, that's wrong. I don't really think it's good to get your heart crushed. But I don't know. They probably both have their pluses and minuses.
Do you find when you're working digitally, either one of you, that your ideas come out more fully formed because it's a little bit easier, or it's not as much revision, or different kinds of revision, or is...
It's easier to make revisions digitally, but as far as the ideas go, I don't find any real difference in that.
Yeah, I really need to be digital. Before I went digital, I redraw things over and over and over and over again. And so beforehand, I just have tracing paper, so much tracing paper. It was just like, it was messy and crazy and weird. And, you could cut out some part over here. This was like better than this. And you lose these little scraps of paper and everything. So once I went digital, and then you could just make layers and you lower the opacity on that layer, and you can trace over that one, and you can trace over that, and then blah, 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 until you finally, go, I guess I have to stop tracing my drawings now. I think it was just, it's just better for me mentally and to have a...
Yeah. George Booth used to do a tremendous amount of patching, and his drawings, even his finishes, sometimes they had like 4 or 5 patches all over the place. And a lot of my originals, if you saw them in person, I have ones where there's a patch, and then there's a patch on top of that patch, and then there's another patch. And of course, when it's photographed, you can take out all the patch lines and stuff, so it looks like you don't have patches. But my originals often have, they're more like a whole box or something like that. I think George Booth's originals have little tiny things like a hand or something, but it is a different thing.
You were talking before, Ellis, about your pet peeve in the subway of not letting people off. So, and I was thinking that a lot of the cartoons that I ended up choosing for the exhibit were some kind of manifestation of annoyance or anger at something that's absurd. So I guess the question is, how vital is it to have absurdity in our transit system? Like, how does that You know, like, when was the first time that you realized, and maybe both of you were little kids taking the subway for, you know, the first or second time, maybe, you know, like, when did you realize, oh, this is the spot, man? Like, there's this inspiration here. Even if you didn't know you wouldn't be artists yet, did you notice that our subway is this microcosm of absurdity and humanity?
I didn't really know anything different. I mean, I did like to look around at all the people. I mean, I think that, I remember, you know, when I was maybe like 12 or 13, like drawing people and secretly, you know, drawing people, because it just kind of was amazing. It was just, and it's still that way to me. I mean, sometimes I just find it very emotional and very moving that there are tons of people on the subway, and all different, you know, ages and economic classes and, you know, colors, and it's everybody, and people generally behave pretty well considering like the conditions and how crowded it can be sometimes, you know. And if somebody is being kind of like rude or like a pain in the neck or something, you know, you kind of look over at somebody else and they're like, you know, like, can you believe, you don't have to even exchange any words. It's like, can you believe this asshole, you know? So, most people try to, I think, be okay, you know, considering how crowded it is and how nutty it is sometimes.
Do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, yeah, I love seeing all the different people and coming and going, and it's just always fun to, you get a relationship with the subway at an early age, and I started that sentence, and I don't know what this shit. Yeah, I think everything you said sounded good.
And also, as a sort of, have you ever had a driver's license?
No.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a point of contention in my family, though, so.
It just sucks so much. It's like the stupidest thing. But to me, like, being able to get everywhere I want by subway, like, I can take the subway to the beach. I can go anywhere on the train. And I think also having grown up here, you get to learn how it works, and like that this is where you can, you know, if you're on the 2 or the 3, this is where you can get the 4 or the 5 or the D. And you know, when my kid went to school at the School of Visual Arts, before she left for school, I had to sort of, because you know, she'd always come in with me, and I would sort of say, okay, we're getting off, we're going to change to this train. And, you know, it's like being a passenger in the passenger seat. But when she was living here, I had to explain to her why certain stations were super important. Like, you know, Times Square, this is like a nexus for like a million billion different lines, or Atlantic Avenue, or this is where all these lines kind of meet. You can kind of cross over and you can change different trains. And if you get to know all of that, you can really go anywhere. I mean, I just find that sort of wonderful.
Yeah, feeling like a pro in the subway is just like the best feeling. And it's the sidewalks too, just like, when I walk down the sidewalk, I just feel like a king, you know, I just like, this is my sidewalk, and sometimes in the subway too, I'm like, yeah, I know where exactly I'm going, I know where to get off, I know where to,
Yes.
yeah.
And it's the opposite for me when I'm driving. It's like I'm constantly terrored. One of the biggest terrors is getting lost. And you know, the GPS, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it helps a little bit, but it's still, and I remember somebody telling me, like, those signs, actually, they're telling you things. It just doesn't matter, because I feel like if you're like on the highway and you're going like 65 or 70 miles an hour, you can't like, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and read the sign until I fully understand it. It's like you're supposed to be reading it and processing it, and I can't do that.
That's exactly the anxiety I have about driving, and that's why I don't drive, because I don't know if I can handle reading the directions and going in the proper direction and staying safe. So
it's the worst.
I feel it.
Yeah.
There are so many signs. And there's all these numbers on them.
Horrible. Yes.
I know.
Arrows.
Yeah, arrows. And they're like in different places.
Yes.
Yeah.
And incomprehensible arrows. It's really awkward.
I see. This is why I think we're spoiled, because we grew up here.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed is that people who have not grown up in a city that has a robust transit system like ours, like Chicago has a pretty great transit system, London has a pretty great one. All the people that live in these types of cities already have this innate sense of direction that you can figure out how to get from point A to
Yes.
point B, even if you're not really sure. But people who don't have that experience growing up, they're just kind of clueless.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. I don't. That's another hypothesis, which I don't know if it's true or not. But let's just say it's true. But yeah, I don't understand. It's so. Every time I talk about anything here at the museum, being a curator here, I realize that I am the person that I am because I grew up here with this transit system, with these people, these crazy people, these wonderful people, like these absurd people and situations. So I'm wondering if maybe that's the same with you guys, that you are the people that you are because you grew up here. Do you
I think where you grow up affects, how you see the world. I mean, there's a lot of people who drive on the highway and they're not like sobbing. So, yeah.
I do, think about that sometimes. If I'd grown up in the suburbs, I would have to know how to drive. And then I sometimes think about what would that Ellis be like, and then I think about, oh man, he would probably be present by now.
Yeah.
And did you see your kids kind of growing in this way also because they had a city childhood? Well, Ellis, your kids are still kind of young.
They're young, yeah.
Mine has more of a suburban childhood, and they drive. So, which I was visiting, actually, my younger son is trans, so he's my son now, and I was visiting him in Portland, Maine, and he drove, and we drove like lots of places, and it was so amazing. It was like he actually was driving and on the highway, and
like with the steering wheel and everything?
the steering wheel and like signals, and I think he changed lanes once.
There's 3 pedals. I noticed it the other day on the ground.
Oh, that's the.
I did not accidentally step on them.
That's one of those cars where there's like another pedal.
Oh, they're not supposed to be.
My car has 2 pedals.
Oh, okay. I know.
So they're just gas and brake, which is enough,
Yeah.
and I don't like it.
Okay. There's the middle one that just makes a loud noise.
Well, sometimes when I'm driving, I completely, it hasn't happened yet, but there's I'll suddenly blank out, which is my foot on the gas or the brake. It's a very horrible feeling.
Right.
It's very, very scary.
But how do you not feel like you're accidentally gonna step on anything? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or what
You're
if-
very aware of your feet all of a sudden. Yeah.
Yes. And what if suddenly you go crazy and you need you just need to.
And that happens, yeah.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, you just kind of, it's hard. It's
And then there's all those things in front of you too with the arrows.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things.
Yeah.
And my husband has a car that it's a more modern car, so it has a screen, and I hate it so much. And it has a push button to start it, and I hate that. It's just terrible. My car this is so boring. I have a car that is a 2007 Subaru, and it has 35,000 miles on it.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think I'd go for another, until I'm dead, really. But my husband says this is no longer a safe car, and I don't want to have to get used to another car. This is one of my top fears right now.
I don't understand the miles thing. What does that mean? Why would like it just stops at like, does every car have only a certain amount of miles on it? Why miles? Why, what is that?
5 miles. Why? I guess because when you have to go someplace, they tell you the number of miles.
Yeah, so it's just like miles. That's like a whole new system I gotta use. Miles?
Miles. It's always miles. Was it something before miles?
It should be minutes. Everything should just be minutes.
Minutes. Yeah. That's true.
I don't know, we will take it up with the transportation.
Yeah.
Maybe you're onto something there. So I think we've got some questions from the audience.
Yeah, we have a couple mics that if you just want to raise your hand and we can bring one to you.
Oop.
Thank you so much for being here. How do you come up with your ideas for cartoons?
Oh. Get ideas. Me? Oh, hi. I don't know. I think of something that's funny and then I jot it down and usually lose that piece of paper and I don't know. Something is funny and then I write it down and think, well, maybe this will turn into a cartoon.
Are you like a drawer first or a writer first? You know that, like,
Yeah.
are you one of those? One way or the other?
Do you draw first?
I'm more of a writing first, I think.
Yeah.
What I do is, I like
If I can remember to,
Oh, no.
first.
to keep in mind, that, like, you put like a switch on your head that's like, is this a cartoon? Is this a cartoon? Is this? And then you just go about your day, and then you do normal things, and then, like, I have a cartoon of I remember my dad saying, is the dishwasher clean or dirty one time when I was over, and I was like, I happened to have that switch on, is this a cartoon? And then so now I have a cartoon, it's a game show, it's called Clean or Dirty, and it just has a dishwasher in front of some contestants.
Yeah. It's I think it's a kind of habit thinking.
Right.
And I don't know if I switch it on consciously, but something will occur to me and it just sounds so much like it could be a cartoon. But occasionally I'll start with a drawing, and I remember I was really in the mood to draw one of those end of the world guys,
Yeah.
the world that ends near guys, and which is a popular New Yorker genre, and with a white long robe and scraggly hair, and he has this big sign that says, and I drew him the end is near, and then I realized he needed a wife, so she's also similarly dressed in one of those white robes, and she's got the straggly hair, and her sign says, "You wish." I don't.
That's like a drawing first idea, right? Because you're like,
That's a drawing first idea, yeah. So occasionally that, I'd say more like 85% of it, 15%.
Okay, I think it's me. Thank you both so much. That was absolutely hilarious. I hope to never be on the highway with either of you. This question might be kind of hard, but I'm wondering for you both, what is the weirdest thing you've ever seen on the subway?
Can I tell you what my husband saw? Because it's better than anything I've ever seen. He said that he saw this guy on the subway, and this was probably in the 80s, and he was very, very drunk, and he looked like any minute he was going to be sick. And it was really kind of scary because he wasn't like acting out or anything, but he was just swaying, and he just was like, and and then somebody got on the train carrying this huge pink panda. And they must have won at some fair or something. And he took one look at the panda and just like puked everywhere. Good times.
This one time I won this big pink panda. anything. There's sometimes you see people who are like, they want the attention. You know, they're like doing something weird and funny, and you know, it's fun to give it to them. And also, you're like, okay, but it doesn't truly count as like a you know, just a weird thing that happened. But I can't think of anything specific. I feel like, okay, my wife's shaking my head, so there's nothing I'm not remembering. I don't know, I got nothing, I'm sorry.
Union Square Station, Barclays, and Fulton Center. Which would you kill? Which would you marry? And which would you take out to a nice dinner?
I was wondering where you were going to go with that last one, yeah.
Yeah, what was the last one?
Fulton Center,
Wait, Berkeley Center, Barclay Center,
Fulton Center, and Union Square.
Union Square are two, what was the third one?
Barclays Atlantic Center,
Yeah.
Fulton Center and Fidei,
Oh,
and then 14th Street Union Square. Kill, marry, take out to dinner.
okay.
This is going to get me on a lot, some talking we probably shouldn't go into, but because Union Square has Tom Modernist statues in it, which, yeah, it's not Union Square?
It's on 8th
The Fox is here, 14th Street. Oh, you're talking, okay. All right, well, never mind. Right, yeah, there you go. Yeah, A-train bias, yeah. I don't know, whichever. Which one has the A-train? What stations were they?
And
Okay.
Fulton.
I got lost in Fulton with my son the other day. The Chambers Street elevator didn't work, and so we had to go to the next one of the elevators. So we went to Fulton, and it took me 5 elevators to get to the 2. So I had to go. He loved it, but I was a little. So I guess I'd take that one out to dinner. I don't know.
Yeah, I would kill Fulton Street. Yeah, definitely. Kill. I would take Barclay Center out to dinner, I think, because I don't know it that well. And it's probably, I was there more when it was just Atlantic Avenue. As a child, it might be kind of fun to talk about like old times or whatever. And for, Union Square, yeah, marry.
So you want to know how I would rank them?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would kill Fulton Center because it's I have lived your experience of the 5 elevators trying to figure out how to get from one platform to another. I would. That's, you know what? I don't know if I would take Union Square out for dinner or marry it. So I'm undecided. Isn't it funny that I knew exactly which one I would like wipe off the face of the earth with the other ones?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, sure. Sorry, was I not supposed to even express that preference? Because I live here? I'm not supposed to have an opinion, so maybe I just lost my job with that. So, sorry.
So first I want to thank you both for all the times that you've made me laugh and made me grin and made me smile, so thank you for that. And since you're both very creative New Yorkers, if there's one thing you could change about the New York City subway system, what would it be?
More elevators, that's easy for me.
I guess more frequent, like the worst trains. Like I have a friend who lives in Far Rockaway, and that was really bad coming home. I think I had to wait almost half an hour for a train. So yeah, more trains, I guess.
Any other questions on?
Have you visited other cities and experienced their metropolitan transit systems? What were your experiences?
You know what I liked about it? I lived in Chicago for college, and I liked how you could take the airport just straight into the city from the airport. That was like a nice little thing that's a little more difficult in New York. But yeah.
I've been on the Tokyo subway system, and that was pretty good. I mean, as you were saying, like once you've been on the New York subway system, you get the sort of gist of how it works and how to read the map. And when I was there, the stations were also in English, so it was not too terrible to get around. There was a weird kind of system with the tickets. This was maybe like 15 years ago. I don't know whether it's the same, but you had to buy the tickets, and then you put them in this little machine, and then you had to kind of heat the ticket. I don't know. And then use them on the way out. I can't quite remember now.
Oh yeah, somewhere, I forget where, in Europe. So at one point, they check the tickets. You get the tickets on our system, and they check, and then like,
yeah,
you see some people didn't do it, like trying to like push around, and the guy is frazzled, and he's like,
yeah.
Love that. That's fun.
Hi, thank you very much for this presentation. I actually did see the exhibit at Grand Central, and I think everyone should go. It's fantastic. But this is right around the question I was just asked. As New Yorkers, you travel through the system, and it's immensely large. Have you actually, as far as like looking for inspiration or anything, gone to other parts of the city on lines you wouldn't take, and just ride the subway for the sake of inspiration, or to see other parts of the city that you normally wouldn't?
I do like to make up like little adventures when I have the time to explore parts of the city. It was really fun going out to Far Rockaway. I mean, I've never done it sort of, I just don't have the time to just sort of like randomly do it, but sometimes I'll say to a friend, let's go out to Flushing. Let's check that out, or Elmhurst, or, I mean, I don't really know Queens that well. I grew up in Brooklyn. But there's huge parts of Brooklyn that I don't really know. There's a lot of parts of Brooklyn that are not really part of the subway. I mean, that's one thing about the subway. I guess if it were possible, I would love the subway to go to every borough and every area, just more subway lines, like to more neighborhoods, and then, then I could go everywhere and I could completely not think about cars. It's interesting that certain parts are like very, and they're weird, Mill Basin. I mean, these neighborhoods that are like, what is that? But it's hard to get to the Garrettson Beach. But yeah. Anyway, but yeah, the subway lets you do that, lets you explore, and I have done that. Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever taken like a little like explore, little walkabout in the train. But I take it all the time. I enjoy taking it. I don't know. I like looking at the map and like looking at stops I've never been to before, and then like staring at the person who's right in front of it, and then going back to the map, and then
Can we expect any comics with the end of the MetroCard, and or any early roasts of the OmniCard?
I don't understand what it is. Is it a card, or is it, I don't, because now it's just on the phone for me. So I thought that was the next step.
It's a floor wax and dessert.
Yes.
That makes sense.
It is. I have the card because
I have a card.
I have a card because I'm old. But I wish that there was some, because you can't add it to your wallet. Like there's some, because I was looking into that. You can't add like the Omni card to there's like some kind of section for like other cities you can link your card to your transportation wallet, the transportation part of your wallet. The Omni won't do that yet, so I still have my card.
Why, if it's a card, why go from one thing to the other? What's new?
Should I answer that? So,
card thing. So, all right, sorry.
To answer your question, the reason why they're moving to Omni is because tokens and Metro cards are something that's referred to as transit currency, which means you pay hard American cash for a form of currency that you can only use on our transportation system. What Omni is eliminates the whole transit currency, where you can use whatever credit card you already have if it's got a chip. You know, so like you don't have to buy something special. But having the card, like you do, is an option, but it's not a requirement. So you don't have to trade money for something that's going to get you in our transit system. Does that make sense?
So you keep,
I have failed.
I am really stupid.
No, it's not you're stupid. It's a weird concept because in New York, since time immemorial, you've had to trade money for something that's going to get you into our system.
But I can't go to like Stop and Shop with my Omni card and say, hey.
No, but in other countries you can. This card that gets you into the transportation system, you can also pay for stuff.
Wait, what? What?
Yeah.
Wait, no. So you're saying I could?
Did I just blow your minds? I think.
So wait a minute. So I could go to Stop and Shop and charge on my Omni card?
Theoretically.
This does not make
One
sense.
of the goals of Omni is to just eliminate the barriers to transportation. But because if you have the Omni card, just the card, it could be a stored value card at some point. That's like all in the future. They might do it. In other countries, like in Hong Kong, you get a card. It's a tap card, and you can use that card to buy things at convenience stores like the Circle K. When I went to Hong Kong, I put a lot of money on my card and I just paid for everything with it, and I thought that I was such a boss. I was like, sure, we're going to Lampstands, you know, soda's on me. So the tap card part of Omni is based on that, but the non-actual card, like, you know, your watch, your phone, it's just so you don't have to pay for a way to get on the subway or the bus.
Well, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
and we're
We'll always leave it about it up in front.
I have a question for you, as a subway expert. What happens, and this is like one of my fears now, is losing my special Omni card. And because on the way to the 72nd Street station, there's like it's really terrible. It's kind of like a person standing at the edge of the cliff, and they kind of like feel this urge to jump. And so walking to the entrance of the 72nd Street subway station, I have to walk over all these subway grates, and I'm holding my card, and there's part of me that just feels like this magnetic, like I need to let go of the card. And maybe that's more to take up with my strength than you, but like, yeah.
So if you lose anything down a subway grate and you know it's a subway grate, like it goes down, that you can always talk to the booth agent and ask them to retrieve it for you.
That'll definitely work.
And you know, because when people find out that I work at the New York Transit Museum, I am of course the person that they ask about all of the weird things that happen to them, and I'm happy to answer if I have the answer. If you lose something in the subway, if you drop it on the tracks, if you drop it in the grate from street level, all you have to do is talk to one of the station people, and they will retrieve it for you. They have a cool grabber tool that they use, which is the same type of grabber that I have to get cans on my top shelf because I'm small. But it used to be with Metro cards, if you lost your card and you paid for it with a debit card or a credit card, you could call and say, hey, I bought this card and it got lost or stolen. I feel certain that there is something in place like that for Omni. If you have a card, I don't know anything else about how, like,
mystery.
I'm not the adjudication department. I can't help anybody get refunds, sorry.
Okay, so this is going to be our last question.
Hey, thank you guys so much for coming. This has just been a lot of fun. I have two kind of like similar but kind of different questions for each of you. Roz, knowing that you left New York, how has your relationship with the subway kind of changed, and how has that come across in your cartoons? And Ellis, taking a child on the subway, obviously you kind of have to explain things a lot. How has that kind of changed your relationship, or how you think about the subway and how it comes across?
Well, for me, moving out of the city made me appreciate the subway more than I think I would have had I not moved out of the city. You know, just being able to get around, to go almost everywhere. Maybe not Mill Basin, but you know, I mean, that doesn't come up every day. And you know, the whole driving thing and stuff like that. I really appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, so with the kids, I mean, you have to be more alert, I guess, but also you have to sort of, like, everywhere you go, and you sort of have to entertain them at all times, too. There's a lot, it's funny what they pick up on, what they see, and, like, there's no more Dr. Zizmore, but there's this new guy, I don't know, he's a lawyer, he calls himself the Bull. My son really likes this guy, So he'll always point to him and or just ask me to read the advertisements, and so that's sort of there's pride in it because I did the same thing, reading all the advertisements for and then being now I have to order seamless, I guess, but yeah. So there's everything else. It's a lot. It's more work and it's more remembering your own childhood, and it's how about that for Harris cancer? They're cute. Aw.
Well, I think that was such a wonderful program. Thank you guys so much. Can you join me? I want to thank you all for coming, and we hope we see you at a future program. Thanks so much.